The Haunting of Pennhurst, a Dark Legacy. In the quiet hills of Pennsylvania, an imposing building stood tall against the sky. Pennhurst State School and Hospital. Built in the early 1900s, it was designed to be a place of care and hope for those with disabilities. But as time passed, it turned into something darker, a place filled with secrets, suffering, and haunting echoes of the past. And before we start the story, subscribe and hit the bell, or you might find me waiting for you in the mirror. The story begins in 1908 when Pennhurst first opened its doors. It was meant to be a sanctuary, a haven for individuals who were often misunderstood and marginalized. Families believed they were giving their loved ones a chance at a better life, but this hope soon turned into despair. As the years went on, more and more people filled the halls of Pennhurst. The hospital quickly became overcrowded. The staff struggled to care for everyone, and the initial promise of compassion faded. Instead of finding a home, many residents faced neglect and mistreatment. Reports began to emerge about harsh conditions and abusive practices. Imagine the dark corridors of Pennhurst, where the echoes of laughter were replaced by cries for help. The walls were painted with sorrow, and shadows lingered in the corners. People who came seeking care found themselves trapped in a nightmare. As time passed, stories began to spread about the horrors inside. Patients reported being locked away, treated like prisoners rather than individuals deserving of kindness. There were tales of cold showers, overcrowded rooms, and lack of basic medical care. Families who visited sometimes didn't recognize their loved ones, changed by the fear and isolation they faced. In the 1970s, brave voices began to rise up against the injustices happening inside Pennhurst. Investigative journalists and advocates fought to uncover the truth. They spoke with former residents, gathering heartbreaking stories of suffering. Some claimed they had seen strange things in the hospital. Figures in the dark, whispers that echoed when no one was there. The fight to expose the truth finally led to an investigation in 1977. A television documentary revealed the harsh realities of life at Pennhurst. Shocking the nation, it showed the cold, sterile rooms, and the residents who were treated as less than human. The world began to pay attention, and the cries for justice could no longer be ignored. In 1980, the state of Pennsylvania finally took action, and Pennhurst was forced to close its doors. Many residents were relocated to better facilities, where they could receive proper care and support. But the stories didn't end there. The echoes of Pennhurst lived on. After its closure, the building sat empty, a hollow shell of its former self. But those who visited reported strange happenings. Some claimed to hear the faint sounds of laughter, while others reported whispers in the empty halls. There were sightings of shadowy figures moving in the corners of their eyes, as if the spirits of those who had suffered were still watching. Local legends began to grow, with ghost hunters and thrill seekers flocking to the site. They came in search of the unknown, eager to capture evidence of the supernatural. Many claimed to have felt an eerie presence, a coldness that wrapped around them like a shroud. Some even brought cameras, hoping to snap a glimpse of the apparitions rumored to roam the grounds. As night fell, the atmosphere changed. The once grand building took on a sinister air, with the wind howling through broken windows and the trees rustling in the darkness. It was said that the souls of those who had suffered at Penhurst were restless, trapped between two worlds. The tales of ghostly figures wandering the halls and shadows flitting past were enough to send chills down the spine of even the bravest adventurers. One particularly chilling story comes from a group of friends who decided to explore the abandoned facility. Armed with flashlights and bravado, they stepped inside, their laughter echoing off the walls. But as they wandered deeper into the building, their fun quickly turned to fear. Suddenly, one of them felt a cold breeze brush past, even though the windows were boarded up. The temperature dropped, and an unsettling feeling settled over them. They began to hear whispers, soft and indistinct, as if voices were calling out from the shadows. The friends exchanged nervous glances, each feeling an overwhelming urge to leave. As they turned to make their escape, they caught a glimpse of a figure at the end of the hallway. A woman in white, her face obscured by long, flowing hair. Panic surged through them, and they ran, their hearts racing as they stumbled through the darkness, desperate to escape whatever had been awakened within those haunted walls. When they finally emerged into the night, breathless and terrified, they vowed never to return. But the stories continued, passed from one curious adventurer to the next, each recounting their own chilling encounters.